Welcome to our World Series Championship edition of ATL Prime Sports. Your Atlanta Braves are the 2021 World Series champions, beating the Houston Astros in 6 games. Guys, this is such a tremendous story. Todd Corder here in Atlanta, JJ on the other side of the ATL, and our producer Wayne in Memphis, Tennessee. Before we go into the Braves championship run, you can all catch us at ATL Prime Sports. JJ at JJ Get You One, Wayne at RWY Junior, myself at Quarter Todd. You can catch us on like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you guys can reach us on social media anytime. Ask us any questions. We'll be glad to answer them. Guys, like I said, what a tremendous run. On August 1st, this team was 52-55. They went 36-18 the rest of the way, won 11 games in the playoffs, only lost, 5 games in the playoffs? That's it. So they went 11-5 in the playoffs. What a tremendous achievement. A hot baseball team, as Bobby Cox would like to say. He always said the playoffs is a crapshoot. This Atlanta team really made history. I mean, it's one of 8 teams with less than 90 wins to win a World Series, and the way they did it, it's incredible. I mean, like I said, they went 36-18 down the stretch. So that left them, 47 wins between the end of the regular season and the playoffs, and then 36-18. So they only lost, 5 more games. So, they went 47-23 to win the World Series championship, and it wasn't a fluke. They beat 3 teams. They beat 3 teams to get there. Obviously, Milwaukee had over 95 wins. The Dodgers had 106. And Houston had over 95 wins. Again, just an incredible run, JJ and Wayne. And JJ, it all started when Alex Anthopoulos went and got Soler, Peterson, Rosario, and Adam Duvall when Robert Acuna Jr. went down. And also, they're the only team in World Series history to their regular season starting outfield was Acuna. I can't help me, JJ. It was Acuna, Pache, and who was the other outfielder? Oh, it was
Marcell Ozuna.
Ozuna. Thank you for that. And look, just an incredible contrast. Take it from there, man.
Yeah, you mentioned it. The 8th team to win under 90 games and win a World Series championship. They're the 4th team ever to be below 500 at the All-Star break or later and win the NL pennant. So, wow. You mentioned the story. Hats off to Alex Anthopoulos for making the moves. You mentioned the moves. I'm going to go in depth on those moves. Alex Anthopoulos, general manager for the Toronto Blue Jays in 2015, had a really good team. Bautista was on that team. I believe Tulowitzki was on that team. You flash forward to now, he said, that team, I didn't make a move, and I felt they could win it all. The players got mad at him. Flash forward to 2021. He believed in this team, and he made those moves. And honestly, folks, he didn't give up the future. He didn't go back and give up any top prospects. He gave up guys like Pablo Sandoval and for Eddie Rosario. And those are the types of moves that get you general manager of the year. And those are the types of moves that get you world championship status. So hats off to Alex Anthopoulos for making the moves. And honestly, hats off to the 4 players for coming in here. Duvall had already been in Atlanta before, but coming in and really getting the bats going right away. Now, Rosario was out of the lineup for quite some time. He was on the injured list. We got him from Cleveland, and here we are now, world champions, first time in 26 years. Just what an amazing story, Todd. Absolutely, from top to bottom, you had the Acuna injury. Soroka never came back. Your catcher, Travis d'Arnaud, was on the 60-plus DL list. And we all know what happened to Marcell Ozuna. To have those four guys in your lineup that were supposed to be staples and win the world championship, this has got to be one of the best stories in Major League Baseball history.
It's such a pleasant surprise. They didn't have Soroka to start the year. They went and got Charlie Morton. He gets to the World Series, gets a line drive off his leg in game one, threw 16 pitches after that, struck out 3 guys, and apologized to the team that he couldn't go any further. Who does that? I mean, what a leader. I mean, that's a hockey player tough there is what that is. And, Soler was the MVP. He hit one last night that is still going. I believe it landed in New Orleans. That was a shot.
It actually just landed right here, folks.
Oh, you just caught it? That's nice. I just caught it. That's nice. It reminds me of that Clayton Kershaw commercial when he was pitching and some guy hit one and some kid ran under and caught it. So, but I mean, and you could have picked a number of guys as MVP. My guy could have been Tyler Matzik. He could have easily been the MVP last night. But they usually don't give relief pitchers the MVP. Back in '84 when the Tigers won it, Alan Trammell was the MVP, but they could have gave it to Senior Smoke Rodriguez, the reliever that had a magic season for Sparky Anderson's '84 Tigers. You just don't see a relief pitcher getting the MVP, but I threw it out there on Twitter last night. It was retweeted on ATL Prime Sports. And it could have gone either way, but Soler had 3 homers, 6 RBIs, and it seems like every time, JJ, when he hit a homer, the team desperately needed it. And this team had over 71% of its runs via the home run.
Well, they lived and died by it all year, Todd. You mentioned Soler's 3 home runs. They were all go-ahead home runs. Clutch. That's why he won the MVP. And again, one of the acquisitions that Alex Anthopoulos made, Rosario, Peterson, Duvall, and Jorge Soler combined for like outrageous numbers in the postseason. Boy, you could really group all 4 of those guys into a postseason MVP, Todd. You really could.
There's no doubt about it. And if you flip it to the other side and the pitching, we mentioned here on ATL Prime Sports the other day when we were on Blog Talk Radio that Alex Fried needed to Tom Glavine it and throw 8 shutout innings. He threw 6. And in this era, that's close enough because then you brought in Matzik. He threw 2, and it was over. And, to throw 6 shutout innings. He had 74 pitches. A lot of folks were wondering if he would go another inning. He did not. It's a different era. I wish he would have gone 1 more just to see what he could have done. But look, I can't argue with Brian Snitker. Every button he has pushed is turned into magic, except for maybe the over-platooning part, or not the over-platooning, but the over-shifting a little bit. But that's analytics in the game. And speaking of analytics in the game, a lot of these guys, young guys, the managers, teams are always looking for the new young guy. Well, this is an old school coaching staff. And, Brian Snitker's been in the organization for 45 years. Walt Weiss played with the Braves. The third base coach, the former Ron Washington thing. Yes, Ron Washington. These guys have all managed in the World Series and played in big baseball games as players. I mean, Brian Snitker, 45 years in an organization, didn't get his chance to manage in the big leagues until 6 years ago. You got Freddie Freeman, who's been with the organization 15 years. And now he has a ring, and it was so poetic for him to catch the ball to end the World Series, but it was also poetic for them to hit it to the Kennesaw, Georgia native, Dansby Swanson, and to throw him out. And it was so funny. Dansby's reaction was, Ozzie, where are you? Where are you? You're supposed to come over and just get the force a second. Oh, you're not there. I'll just throw it over to Freddie and end it. I mean, he was like looking, and I think Ozzie, who knows why he didn't get there. I guess he thought he'd just chuck it over to Freddie and end it. But wow, I mean, just there's not enough superlatives to go on and on. I mean, you had Brian Snitker's son, Troy, was the batting coach for Houston. I felt for him, and also felt for Dusty Baker, who played with Hank Aaron, played with the Braves franchise, won a World Series as a Dodger under Tommy Lasorda. I felt for Dusty Baker. He's been there and done that as a manager. He's taken several teams to the playoffs, taken the Giants to the World Series. Yep. And, I just really felt for him.
Yeah, you got to. He's a baseball guy through and through. You really wanted to see Dusty Baker win if you weren't a Braves fan. And if you're just a baseball guy in general, you honestly were kind of deep down inside pulling for Dusty to finally get that World Series W.
It's not this time.
It's just not this time. Brian Snitker, a very similar story on the other side. Demoted from the Atlanta Braves big league organization down to AAA, managed, never said anything. Freddie Gonzalez fired. Gets the call as an interim guy, and really, this is what really turned the franchise around. Is he took that franchise and he won some pretty big ball games down the stretch. And the last year of Turner Field, he put an exclamation point on that season by knocking the Tigers out of playoff contention, and that really got the momentum going in this thing. 17 was a bad year, but 200 hits by Ender Inciarte. And then, again, you flash forward a couple years after 4 straight division titles, Snitker gets the job done. I will never question him again. Pulling out Ian Anderson, going with Adrian Anza, gets the pinch hit that they needed, ties the game up. The rest is history. Hats off to him. Made every decision possible. And you mentioned the analytics. It's part of baseball now. But you watched it. Right after the 1 or 2 strikes, Riley would shift back over in Game 6, and it really, with 2 strikes, they changed the Astros changed their approach, and Snitker shut that down. So really well-managed series by Brian Snitker. Hats off for getting the job done.
Another great story was when Alex Anthopoulos was at Dodgers, and he knew Jock Peterson really well from his day there. He wanted a leader. He wanted a guy who was a winner. And Jock Peterson used some colorful language. You guys, are great, players, hitters. And not only that, but you guys are great pitchers. He said, I've watched you from afar. This is from afar. That's why I came over to this team. I knew we could win it. And not only did he back it up with his leadership, but he backed it up with his play.
Yes, he did.
And they love him in the clubhouse. And, love was a key word. Last night, I noticed a lot of players use the word, I love you. I love you. We love each other. Dansby Swanson used it. They all used it. Brian Snitker used the word. I was like, wow, this is really cool. I mean, he used the word, I love you. And in professional sports, I don't know if that word is thrown around a lot. I know it was. I'm older than you guys, but I remember the 88, 89 Pistons and the Pistons run in the 80s and the early 90s. They used the word love. John Sally, who went to Georgia Tech, played basketball there, played on the Pistons star teams, and he said, I didn't think I'd ever see the word love in professional sports. You saw that with this team saying, I love you, and that really means a lot. And, one more thing, Freddie Freeman, his last hit potentially as Atlanta Brave, I think they're going to sign him. He hit a home run, and we mentioned Freddie Freeman needed to Dave Justice it like Justice did in 95. Freddie did that last night. And, just just one good story after another. We could talk about it all day.
We could.
All day.
And here's another one. And we could kind of shift to talking about maybe defending the championship here. There's a lot to talk about in this offseason coming up. And Todd, I'd kind of like to take it there for a couple seconds.
Go ahead.
What do you think Alex Anthopoulos does with this outfield? Rosario's got to be re-signed. Duvall's got to be re-signed. Solaire's got to be re-signed. And so does Jock Peterson if you want to keep him. Who's the odd man out? Who's coming? Who's going? Who's staying? Todd, what's your opinion on that?
Wow. Well, obviously, Robert Acuna is coming back. I would have them 4 outfielders come back. And if I could trade Ozuna and get rid of his big contract and get an addition to the pitching staff with Soroka coming back, he won't come back at the start of the year. I would try to trade. I would keep the chemistry and these players here and bring Robert Acuna with it. The only thing is, you would like to see them, gosh, you hate for anybody else to go on this team. But as you know, in professional sports, change is going to happen. But I would like all 4 of them to stay and have the outfield with Robert Acuna.
Yeah, I'd love to see Ronald Acuna get as healthy as possible in May and come back to Soler and Rosario. I think that's a great idea, but let's face it, until Marcell Ozuna is no longer a part of the Braves roster, he's here. I don't know if a guy that's won 2 Silver Slugger awards is going to be something you really want to trade. And if those legal issues do go completely dropped and there is no suspension, Marcell Ozuna is a good player. And especially if you get the DH in the National League next year, which is a high possibility.
That'll factor in the decision.
That'll factor into this outfield. Alex Anthopoulos has a lot of deciding to do. I don't think there's a wrong answer here, but Acuna is going to be there. And I think Duvall earned his spot. And I think Rosario earned his spot too.
I think they all did.
I think they really all did. And it's going to be fun to watch. Folks, if you like these videos, please give us a like, a thumbs up, a subscribe, and give us a comment below with what you think the Braves should do in the offseason with this outfield situation.
Oh, speaking of a comment, I'm sorry, Wayne, you had one you wanted to talk about Jock Peterson. Go ahead.
Yeah, that guy sold an awful lot of necklaces there in the Atlanta area.
You know
yes,
what?
He did.
I'm glad you mentioned that because there were thousands of fans with necklaces on, and Wayne, you saw them in the Battery. There were 40 to 50,000 in the stadium.
Yeah.
And it were 100? There were about 75 to 80,000. Oh, geez, did you get that from your wife's box?
Maybe I had this planned out for this exact conversation.
I think you're lying. I think you're lying. I think you stole it from your wife. Go give it back to her now.
So, Wayne, what were you saying about this?
Well, the only other comment I would say is any of those guys that you want to get off Atlanta's payroll, call the Texas Rangers up because they need somebody in there to, they got lighter pitching, maybe. I don't know what the situation is with that, but they could use some batters.
You know what? Speaking of
life.
I'm sorry. Speaking of move, there wasn't move in Major League Baseball today. Tucker Barnhart was traded from the Cincinnati Reds to the Detroit Tigers. That is going, for a minor league player, that is going to boost Detroit up at the catching position. I think the team overachieved this year with A.J. Hinch as a manager. We'll see how they do next year. I saw Dodgers, Wayne, and Giants fans yakking it up that we'll be back next year. We're not worried about Atlanta. You know what? It's going to be a dogfight in the National League between Atlanta, Milwaukee's going to be back, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and if San Diego ever figures out to win, holy smokes, the St. Louis Cardinals are going to be there. The Phillies, the Mets, can you spell mediocre? Because that's what they are. The Marlins are a young team. So
they got pitching.
they do. And the Mets, you know, they lost to Grom, and that really hurt them. But Atlanta just absolutely proved itself with guts and grit and won a championship. And this town broke the fourth longest drought in professional sports, winning a without winning a championship in one of the four major sports. And they did it. And golly, what a feeling. The parade is Friday. I know we got a minute. We got to wrap it up. I know that. The parade is Friday. I can't go. JJ can't go because we're going to do Central State at Kentucky State for SIAC football action. Wayne, are you going to come down from Memphis and join the party here in downtown Atlanta?
No, I'm going to be watching the Panthers play the Raging Cajuns and hope for an upset win there.
Go Panthers.
Oh,
that's on Thursday.
Speaking
that's
of
on
college
Thursday.
football, now we have our transition. Thank you very much. Let's talk some college football. We all know the Dogs are on top. Go ahead and bark all you want. They're the best team in college football. They're number one. JJ doing the pumping, lifting the weights. We know that number 2 was Alabama. Number 3 was Michigan State. Number 4 was Oregon. Number 5 was Ohio State. Number 6 is Cincinnati. And this is where everyone is just livid. Wayne, you're an AAC guy. You don't feel Cincinnati should be at 6. Tell me why.
Well, because apparently in this new playoff ranking system, wins are not as important as analytics. And so really they should call it the college football analytic playoffs.
Well, I've heard pure playoff privilege, JJ. Go ahead with that.
No, absolutely. I was going to piggyback. Our friend Tim Brando has said pure playoff privilege a lot. He agrees that Cincinnati should have been higher. Look, they got one of the best wins in the country right now, folks. Yeah, I agree their strength of schedule is weak. But they went out there, they put Notre Dame and Indiana on their schedule. They beat them both on the road. That should speak for a lot. Plus, taking the history of the AAC, didn't we just have a claimed national champion from Central Florida in recent years? Now, I know that's a fake national championship, but they did beat the Auburn Tigers and finish undefeated. So this conference has history and good history at that. And look, I watched Cincinnati dominate the Dogs last year for about 56 minutes. And if it wasn't for a genius defensive stop by Kirby Smart and a drop pass by Cincinnati, the Dogs lose last year.
Cincinnati should have ran the football. They would have won the game.
They could have, should have, and would have. But again,
you can't.
Again, I understand you can't place one win on something, but to me, that's one of the best wins in the country. The best win in the country right now is Oregon. That's why they're number 4, and I think that's why I overall agree with the poll. I just would put Cincinnati at 5, I think, right now, and give them a little bit better shot at getting in.
You can't go on a win based on last year. B, this is the highest a group of 5 ever team has ever been is 6. Cincinnati got to 7 last year. Look, you look at the history of this playoff committee, the group of 5 does not matter with these people, whether I agree with it, whether Wayne agrees with it, whether you agree with it, JJ, it doesn't matter. These people, there has to be, unfortunately, and I'll say it again, unfortunately, a perfect storm for Cincinnati to get in the playoff. And right now, when I look at the tons of scenarios, and we could do it all day long, I just don't think they get in. Do I look at Alabama? If they went out and they beat Georgia, and Georgia wins out till they lose to Alabama, those 2 teams are in. You can forget it. And then Ohio State, if they win out, they're in. And then after that, if Oklahoma wins out, they'll pass Cincinnati, bottom line. Even though they have Oklahoma 9th in the playoff, their schedule is going to be better than Cincinnati's down the stretch. Wayne, you got a comment?
Well, just one thing to bounce off of what our friend Dave Cohen said one time. He says, they meet in one of those smoky hotel rooms and decide who gets in and who does not. And then once they come out of there and they've got their minds made up.
Well, there's no question they have their minds made up. Look, I go by track record. You see what their track record is, whether you agree with it or not, and none of us really agree with it. I just don't think it's fair. If Cincinnati wins out, they're in this the way this particular season's going, they should get in. I don't think Wake Forest is going to be undefeated. That's going to leave another team out. Oregon, nobody in the Pac-12 is undefeated. And if Oklahoma loses, we don't have an undefeated team in a Big 12, Cincinnati belongs in there for sure. But, yeah, guys, I want to ask you real quick before we go to pick six. I'm sorry, JJ, you had a comment. Go ahead.
The real big X factor here is Wake Forest. If they went out, they're not gonna deny an undefeated Power 5 champion.
They're not, and that's why Oklahoma's the same thing. They're not. You and I agree on that. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, before we go to pick six, we're still doing okay on time. We still got about 4 or 5 minutes. My Heisman guy, it's got to be Kenneth Walker of Michigan State at this point. 5 touchdowns against my alma mater, Michigan. And Michigan State was simply the tougher and better team from the 7 minute on the third quarter and the fourth quarter. They deserved that win. That loss is not on Jim Harbaugh. And all you Twitter knuckleheads out there saying that Jim Harbaugh lost a football game with them because he didn't have McNamara in the game when J.J. McCarthy fumbled. That's because McNamara was in the dang tent. So where would you like J.J. McCarthy to be in the game? I mean, these people absolutely kill me with stupidity. Jim Harbaugh can't block, he can't tackle, he can't catch, and he can't throw. And Michigan didn't do any of those very well, especially the defensive line from that 6 minute on, and they got thrashed and gashed, even though they led 30-14. Who's your Heisman so far, Wayne? And then JJ, then we'll go to the pick six.
Man, I hadn't even thought about Heisman.
Come on, man. Give me one. You got to know of one.
No.
Oh, come on. You don't have a Heisman guy?
Go ahead, Wayne.
No, not really. I mean, it's a nice award to have and makes for good commercials, but I don't really think about it too much. It seems a very popularity contest to me.
Yeah, Wayne, strong point. I can't argue. Go ahead, JJ, real quick.
Wayne, you're exactly right. It's a popularity award, and the most popular guy right now is running back Kenneth Walker. But the best player in the country, the most dominant player in the country, plays for the number 1 team in the country. He's a big boy. He's number 99, Jordan Davis. That's the best player in college football. That's who should win the Heisman Trophy. But my favorite to win the Heisman Trophy is Michigan State running back Kenneth Walker III. 5 touchdowns against your rival, really coming onto the scene right when you need to at the most. This is about the time of year when Mark Ingram separated from the field and won his Heisman Trophy award. Very similar situation. Kenneth Walker's going to win the Heisman. Let's move on.
As long as Michigan State does undefeated, you can't leave out Dean of Georgia and these guys. We got to go to pick six. JJ, take it away.
I'll take this one this week, folks. Remember, this is the ATL Prime Sports Pick Six segment. We go by the Monday spreads here. Wayne went 1-5 last week, 2-4 for the Todd Corder, and I took the cake at 4-2. I'm back on top where I rightfully belong.
Oh, shut up. Hey, what's your record?
24-30 overall, 21-33 overall for TC, and Wayne and I actually were tied.
But yeah, I was going to say, I looked at the records. You're tied. And you know what?
Your breaker is my opinion. No, I'm just kidding.
You
Wayne and I are tied right now.
Look, the bottom line is we all must be so proud. We're under 500. We suck. So anyway, let's go. Let's go with it.
Again, folks, Monday spreads here on the Pick Six. College football, number 10 Wake Forest, 8-0, traveling to North Carolina, who's 4-4. 2.5 point favorite for the Tar Heels. Now, folks, this is a non-conference ACC game. Don't ask me how it happened, but it did. And I'm going with the Tar Heels. Don't ask me why. I think both defenses are but both offenses are woo-hoo. The over-under 7-6 and a hook. Again, I'm going Sam Howell. We'll go TC and then Wayne last.
You know what? Nothing finer than being upset by Carolina. I got Carolina covering.
So 2 Carolinas. Wayne, what you got?
I'm taking Wake Forest, Demon Deacons in the points.
Of course you are. Who can see that coming? Next.
All right, guys. Our second college football game is number 12, Auburn, 6-2, 3-1 in the SEC. At number 13, Texas A&M, 6-2, 3-2 in the SEC. A&M's a 4.5-point favorite. The over-under, if you're interested, is 50 dead even. Look, Bo Nix, he's passed for over 200 yards in each of the SEC games this season. Auburn's won 4 of 5. I think that's the difference. Give me War Eagle in the points.
Give me who? A&M was a 4.5-point favorite.
A&M's a 4.5-point favorite.
I'll take A&M. They already beat Alabama at home. They do it again to Auburn.
Well, I'm taking Auburn in the points, so War Eagle for me also.
I like it, Wayne. I like it.
Who can see that coming from an Auburn guy?
Our third and final college football game of the Pick Six, number 5, Michigan State and Spada, 8-0, 5-0 in the Big Ten. At Purdue, give me a Boilermaker, 5-3, 3-2 in the Big Ten. MSU is a 3-point favorite. Over-unders 54. This one was the toughest game to pick for me. But give me a beer. I'm going with the Boilermakers.
Give me 2 beers. I'm going with the Boilermakers. This is upset written all over. They've already taken care of Iowa 24-7 this year. I've said it all along. The Big Ten is far from being over, Wayne.
It's time for Michigan State to head back to the keg. Purdue and the points for me.
Who wins the game in your opinion, can I ask?
Well, yeah, I think Purdue's going to win it outright, but, they got the points. I'll take the points, too.
We all agree. Now to the National Fun League, if it is.
The National No Fun Football League, Falcons. We're doing the Falcons game. They're 3-4. It's the dirtiest of the rivalries here in the South. They're traveling to New Orleans. It's 5-2 for them versus 3-4 for the Falcons. Throw records out the window. New Orleans is a 6-point favorite. Somehow, we got it at 6, over under 42 and a hook. Remember, folks, this is the Monday spreads. I'm going Falcons in the points. Jameis Winston got hurt. We don't know if they're going to make a trade in New Orleans yet for a quarterback. They may play Trevor Siemian. Falcons in the points this week.
Man, Trevor Siemian did a great job against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What was that spread again? I didn't hear that.
6 points in favor of New Orleans.
Is it in New Orleans?
It is in New Orleans.
The Saints go marching in. I got New Orleans, fellas. I saw the Falcons' dismal performance against the Carolina Panthers, and they're without Calvin Ridley. I'm sorry. The Saints go marching in, and they cover. Even with Trevor Siemian at quarterback.
Well, I'm taking Falcons in the points down in the Old Dome.
And I can see that one coming.
I like it. And it's no longer the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. They got a new sponsor there. So our second game in the NFL week is the Broncos and the Cowboys. Broncos are 4-4. The Cowboys only have 1 loss on the season. Cowboys, 9.5-point favorites. Over under in this game is 49 and a hook. Dak is back. Boys cover.
And what that game's at Dallas, of course, right?
Game's at Jerry World.
And at 9.5-point favorite, there's no dang way I'm rooting against the Cowboys. Stephen A. Smith. Just remember Stephen A. Smith. Huh?
No more Von Miller in Denver. I really think Cowboys take advantage of that with the Ezekiel.
I think Dallas covers whether and Dak is going to be back. The Cowboys are going to cover. As to you, Stephen A. Smith, the Cowboys are no frauds. This is unlike any Cowboy we've seen in a long time. A team in a long time. Mike McCarthy's got it going on. Dan Quinn's done a great job as the DC. How about them Cowboys? They cover.
What you got?
Cowboys to cover.
Cowboys. We're very similar, folks. We're very similar this week. Last game of the Pick Six. Bears 3-4. Steelers 4-3 in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh 6.5-point favorites. The over-under in this game is 40. Give me the Steelers. I like Big Ben. I think they're starting to roll.
Is that 6.5?
6 and a hook. 6 and a hook.
My wife's in the next room. She could probably hear me. No damn way I'm not picking against Pittsburgh. Give me the Steelers. They'll have trouble scoring points.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and go with the analytics and take the Steelers as well.
Hey,
you know what? I think he's just doing this so I can't catch him.
Well, folks, that concludes our Pick 6. Take it away, Todd.
I tell you what, guys, I've had a blast this evening. Lots of laughs. Wayne's making me laugh. You make me laugh. Our show live on Mondays on Blog Talk Radio, 1-347-205-9631, blogtalkradio.com. We will not be live next Monday. I believe we'll be on the Monday after that. If not, we'll be after Thanksgiving. We'll still have our show next week with Dave Cohen, the voice of the Georgia State Panthers, will be our guest. He couldn't come on today because he's in Louisiana getting ready for the Georgia State Panthers versus the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. And that'll be on tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. ESPN. Or you can go catch Dave Cohen on the Georgia State Radio Network. And speaking of the Sun Belt Conference, Georgia Southern hired Clay Helton, the former USC coach, as their head coach. And Paul Johnson, the former Georgia Tech and Georgia Southern head coach. Paul Johnson won a national championship when Georgia Southern was 1AA. He reportedly turned the job down. Guys, that's it. Got to go. That's right. Got to go. I really enjoyed it. We'll talk to you guys next week. Well, I won't. I'll be on vacation in sunny Florida next week. It'll be just you two and Dave. Enjoy yourselves, and I'll talk to you in a couple weeks, guys. Bye now. Have a great weekend coming up.
World Series champs. Hats off to the Atlanta Braves. Get you one. We'll see you Monday, folks.
They did get you one.